Daniel Pipes is no friend of mine, but likes to cite me because it gives him some credibility on Campus Watch. Said, Professor Lawrence has profoundly misunderstood most of contemporary Islam, but above all, jihad. And he went on to say, the reason why Professor Lawrence misunderstands jihad is because he thinks that Muslims think that there are two kinds of jihad. That there's one that is a kind of jihad which involves physical engagement and opposition to somebody who's defined as the enemy, and there's another jihad where it's not a physical outer enemy, but a metaphysical inner enemy, and that inner enemy is your own selfishness, or your own preconception that yourself is finally the only qibla, the only point of orientation to your life and the life of the world, otherwise known as narcissism. In American, we call it narcissism. So Professor Pipe said, Professor Lawrence mistakenly thinks that there are two kinds of jihad, but actually all Muslims know that there's only one jihad. It's military, it's physical, it's fighting the enemy. The enemy are Jews, Americans.
I mean, the word jihad really, simply translated, is struggle, to struggle. The concept for Muslims involves a broad meaning. It starts with the struggle we do to pursue moral perfection, to struggle with ourselves, to be good people, to have the moral discipline. That is part really of jihad. That's the essence of jihad. It's also what we do to confront injustice, to confront corruption in society, make sure that society is based on principles of justice and rightness. That's why you find Sharia calls people to enjoin the good and forbid evil, and that's a very central teachings, moral teachings of Islam, that people are responsible for what's happening in their communities, their societies, and they cannot turn their face to the other side when they see something that is not right. They have to help make it correct and make the whole community wholesome. I think the problem today is that there are people who are trying to confuse the public, or they themselves are themselves confused. They associate the attacks on civilians, the completely unacceptable behavior of some extremists. They associate it with jihad, but Muslims don't associate that with jihad. They call it for what it is. It's a sort of terrorism. Attacking civilians is unacceptable. It's against the principles of Islam. So I think it's about confusion. This confusion is based definitely on the act of some Muslim fanatics who misunderstand the meaning of jihad. But then these are very tiny minority. They are on the fringes of Muslim society. Like in any other society, you have extremist voices. The problem is that people, rather than seeing those people for what they are, they try to sort of broad brush the entire Muslim community with the views of the extremists.
Yes, people are frightened about jihad and see jihad as holy war. Many people in America and in Europe have the view that jihad means world conquest. I don't see it that way. I see jihad, which, as all Muslims understand, means striving and really putting great effort to do something. And jihad fi sabilillah is jihad engaging, striving, and doing God's will, that is on the path of God. Jihad in Islamic tradition has a number of different aspects to it. It has a number of different meanings. It can mean, as Sufis will tell you, it is a striving to do the right thing, to strive against the evil inclination in one's own self, to live out God's will as fully and as justly as possible, and it doesn't mean war. But there are references in the Quran and in Islamic tradition that direct jihad to fighting as well. Officially fighting in defense of Islam, not fighting to conquer, but fighting to protect. Now, the problem is, and this is a complex problem, is that what does it mean to defend? Sometimes people determine that preemptive attacks are justified as a way to prevent an enemy from destroying the community. That is understood from the perspective of the people who are engaging in the conflict as defense. But on the other side of the border, that's not looked at as defense at all. It's looked at, or it's seen as a form of aggression. And so there's always conflict between the two sides of a conflict. Jihad does mean war and fighting, and it does mean fighting in the path of God as well as engaging in just acts in the path of God. And I think that is an important aspect that cannot be denied. And Muslims have to, I believe, do a better job of understanding and working out for themselves and for the world at large, really for the benefit of everyone, where are the limits to engaging in jihad as a form of aggression or as a form of defense of the community. I do feel that Muslims have to deal with the issues straight on, just like Jews have to deal with the issues in our issues of aggression that are justified, or that are seen by our community as justified in the name of God.